Good evening. I apologise for being slightly late today, but I am so tired. Work ran over and everything has run over, so I'm a little kind of out of whack today. But never mind. We are here now. So, let's have a look. This is where we left off yesterday. Obviously. Oh, got an itch. Hang on. Right. So, well, we only have two choices, and I don't like either of them. But never mind. Time to do some cloth stitch. You're a bit short, and you will be needed. So, bobbins. But there are the other two bobbins that I will need. Pocket of pins. There it is. Grab the things, do the knots. Sometimes I wish it was a little easier that that I could almost attach you to my glasses so that you could watch what I watch. But then, that's not always a good thing either, so... Stop being annoying. I'm too tired for this. That's right, the ends are twisty despite having beeswax did them. Because they were super twisty. So they've still got a bit of life in them. And they're just playing up a bit. There we go. Oh, come on, you ham-fisted woman. Today, this is not being my day. Right, there we go. Now, these bobbins are way too long. I know that. But they are at least now joined. So, let's wind them up a bit. I was talking last night to a lovely lady who streams crafting stuff, and she made me feel so much better about my problem on Monday. where I got frustrated with myself. And she said she streamed for a whole month and no one told her she was on mute. I feel so much for her on that one. So once again, my clock is still 20 minutes out. So my clock currently says that it's about 8:35, which of course it's not. It's nearly 9 o'clock, and this did not help with the overrunning of work. So the fact that work overrun, but my clock said it was only 4:30, when of course it wasn't 4:30. Really was not what I needed, The problem with the Amazon clock, why do I call it my Amazon clock? Because it is designed purely really to work with Alexa. And she is Bluetoothed to the Alexa devices, which is where she supposedly gets her time from. But if I ask Alexa what the time is, she will give me the correct time. But the time on the clock doesn't match it. But you can't control the actual clock because it's only Bluetoothed attached to the system. So you're kind of screwed, really. And why is it everyone seems to automatically know when I'm streaming to send me messages? It will be co-worker, of course. end's still too curly, as you can see. Well, you see the ends remained curly, and it's just not helping. And nor is my co-worker. Let's try that again. Problem is drowning in beeswax makes it difficult to slip. And even though it's still curly, look, it's still really curly. It's just being awkward. If only they tasted curly. Now this is far too long. Yeah. Hey Bit Gamey, how you doing? My face seems to be having some form of reaction to something, so it's really hot and itchy at the moment, which is not helping. Was it really, or was it just that I responded with "if only they did taste curly," and then it could be the heat, Bailey. It might be that you missed me responding with "if only they did taste curly," and then staring at a pair of bobbins for a bit, and my brain catching up a bit more to say hello to you. So, yeah, it may not be the text to a speech delay in this occasion. It may be a Liz issue, you know. Liz to brain issue. I think it is the heat though, Bailey. Just because it has been for something that was supposed to be only about 26 degrees today. Now I say only. It's not like it was 42. It's really muggy here. It's even now it's still really quite hot. It was hot. I noticed it was quite warm when I woke up. So it is. Really? 57 seconds? What do you mean you can hear it? You shouldn't be hearing it. What do you mean you can hear it? It should only be in my ear. It's not coming out the speaker. That's probably because my ear thing is not exactly, you know, awesome. Okay. I wasn't aware you could hear it. Not that close, but I'm not that close to the mic. I mean, my nose is, well, thumb to finger. But obviously it's in my right ear, so it's the opposite side of my head. So but, they aren't like expensive earpieces here. In my ear, it's really quite loud. So I will. Hang on. Well, that's kind of what it's for. Is because I'm looking at this, not looking at a computer screen over there, and so I can keep looking and doing what I'm doing without paying, absolute attention to you guys. Without not attending to you guys, i.e. I can look at what I'm doing and still have interaction. Have you always been able to hear it? Okay. Well, it means that I don't... Because, I mean, I've mentioned this a couple of times. Well, to be honest, it just reads out what you say. So it's the only ones that... The only things that you could hear that you wouldn't normally would be ads coming, spam stuff. So when one of the spam bots comes in, it tells me possible spam bot. When I mute the mic, it says muted, and when I unmuted, it said muted again because it can only tell me that it's changed. So it's not like. But that also means if I'm listening to something else, you're... No. It probably should, to be fair, I'm just a bit confused because... Quite often, I've been listening to something else in the background, right? Because, to be fair to you good selves, you don't always all talk to me. Sometimes you sit there in silence and drive me slowly insane. And so I often listen to other things. But that means it can be heard. Well, 9 times out of 10, it's got copyright stuff on it. Which is, of course, what the hell's going on here? Oh, that's because you are too far over. You should be there. Oh, he looked a bit far. So, well, it's just disappointing because I seem to remember I did a bit of a test and I didn't think you could hear it. Well, that's just irritating. You are hearing the music, right? Hang on, there'll be an echo as I pull it up on my... Well, according to mine, it's playing. What the frig is going on now? According to my end, it says it's playing music. That's probably why. Is it really that silent? Well, I haven't changed anything. Literally, all I did was scroll down a window. Really? It's that quiet? It was never that quiet before. Or is it just because I'm that loud? Well, that sucks. Hang on. Let me mute my microphone a sec and so I can hear what you can hear. Hang on. Big Amy, there's something wrong with you. Big Amy, there's something wrong with you. Big Amy, there's something wrong with you. It's going to go into forever echo now, but I hear music at a reasonable volume in that it's background music, and I couldn't hear the TTS at all. You're weird, dude. I love you to pieces, but you're weird. Let me turn the music up a bit then, hang on. Clickety-doo-dah. No, that's not on. Hang on. How about now? How's the music now? Because I don't want it to be too loud. What gets me is I haven't changed the settings for the music since September. So, hang on, let me poke then, hang on. Keep clicking on the wrong button because it's got the wrong looking things. You see, the volume that I get in my ear is quite reasonable. Well, it does to an extent, but I've just put the music in my ear. I put them. I mean, you could probably hear it now because my ear is right next to the microphone, alright? So you will hear the music that I hear or anything that you say quite loud because it's literally a couple of inches from my ear. But that music seems pretty loud to me. And it's showing as reasonably loud. Well, it is supposed to be background music. It's not, because otherwise people don't hear the bobbins. They don't hear what's going on. So I don't want it to be too loud. No. That possibly is... That could be as simple as I'm too loud. What you could be telling me is I'm too loud, so you've turned it down for my voice to be okay, and therefore the music and everything else isn't heard. That could be more accurate, because there are some streamers where I've had to turn my sound up to like 100 before I could hear a damn thing they said, and then I've got other streamers where if it's over 20 I'm going to be catching speaker cones. Right. That's different. Right, but that's my whole point. The music on mine is just under the yellow, and this is supposed to be background music. It usually gets to the top of the yellow stroke early red. No. You're confusing the hell out of me, people. You're confusing me. Can you hear my bobbins? Okay. Right, so you can hear the bobbins. I mean, the music's mainly there so that if you lot aren't talking to me, and I know I'm fiddling with a knot or something, that it is not just absolutely dead silent. That is the purpose of the music. It is not really there to be listened to, if you know what I mean. It's not like I'm playing strappingly fun tunes, right? And the right people will know where the music comes from, right? It is purely for background. It's a bit like lift music. It is purely there to distract and not be dead silence. Hey, Naughty Cat. Well, the question is, Naughty Cat, how long have you been here and how much of this discussion have you been listening to? Because I know you sneaky in occasionally. So, here's a question. Right, here's a bunch of questions and I need you to answer each one absolutely honestly, no matter how upset you might think I may be by the answer. While there is music, is the music barely audible, background music, Or annoying. Okay, that's good. You said that I was loud. That's fine. I don't mind if I'm loud as long as the music is still present at the volume you're listening. Okay. Second question. Can you hear my TTS? If you can, is it so quiet you kind of have to crank it up so you're catching your speaker cones if I speak? Or is it really, really quiet that you have to strain to hear it? Because I did loads of tests before I implemented the talking in my ear shit. I did a load of tests. I recorded it and did all manner of stuff. You have no idea how long I did it, and not once was it audible through the recordings. Not once. And yet you're all telling me you've always been able to hear it, and I don't get that. My brain's kind of not computing that right now, because A, none of you mentioned it, you annoying people. Secondly, all the testing I did, bear in mind I've got reasonably good hearing, I didn't hear it. Now I know these speakers are pretty shit. Right, these earbuds, these things. They were cheap. I'm not going to pretend that they're really expensive stuff. I can't wear entirely over the ear things, because that makes me entirely deaf. Then I will shout at you because I can't hear myself speak. So I have to have a single ear thing at most. I have it in the furthest away from you ear, because I can only really have it in one ear. My stupid autistic brain cells only cope with it in my right ear, because, well, that's a thing. That's just weird. So let me ask you something. Bear with me one moment. So what can you hear now? It's Microsoft, of course, they have. Can you hear anything now, other than when I speak? And the music? But you can't hear what I'm listening to. You're not hearing anything else other than... But you're... But why is it when I listen to my stream through my phone, I don't hear the TTS through the phone? And it picks up everything else really loud. Can you hear what I'm listening to? See, I don't understand that. Because when I play it on my phone, it's loud. I don't get it. I get that. That's kind of okay. I'm glad that you're pretty cool with that. That's a good explanation. Thank you, Nautical. But if I take the earpiece out, I can hear it from there. Now, I wonder if this earpiece is knackered. Because you may recall a little while ago I moaned that it was really muffled. And I poked around a lot with it. I wonder if I've broken it. Bear with me one moment. Getting the other one. So you see, I can tell from this that you shouldn't be able to hear what I'm listening to, which is a good thing. But no, it's not that it's a end of the world scenario. But I'm just annoyed that it's audible when I thought that it wasn't. And autistic brain cell not happy, you know? It's because I've taken out the other earphone, so it looks like I broke it. Because the other one, which is the left-hand one, has been underneath. Well, it wasn't that close to the microphone. Let me put this one in my left ear, which will automatically mean it's a lot closer to the microphone. But see how this goes. Now I've got to work out how to put the left one in. Hang on, because you have to wrap it around your ear holes and stuff. My brains don't like this. Let's give that a go, although that feels really weird now, because of course I'm not used to it being in my left ear. So problem is I've got funny ears, and it's hard to explain. But the flappy bit of your ear, mine doesn't bend. So if you put headphones on them and it's touching them in even the remotest little way, my ears can get really funny about how it hurts, right? They are really delicate little flowers. They don't like lots of... To be honest, I can't sleep for more than a couple of hours, even on the softest of pillows, because it makes my ears hurt. So I actually end up lying on a donut pillow with a hole in the middle so my ear can go in it. You have no idea, right? If I want a decent sleep, that's how I have to sleep, right? And so I can't really wear over the head earphones. Then you have to add the fact that my autism thing and the fact that I can't hear myself speak means that I kind of need this certain level. So, for example, these are my work headphones, right? Now, I can only wear this for a little while. So if it's a really long meeting, tough days. But this is quite padded. I mean, this is really soft. But I still can't wear it for long. But those are the only headphones I can wear. If I wear 2-ear ones, people will ask me to leave them in, right? It's a thing. So, hence I don't wear both of these. Because I don't... if I wore both, it would become a problem. So I wear the right one because my brain cells are used to people speaking in my right ear, which is how my work one works. I mean, it can be both ears, but, because you just flip the microphone. But, by default, it seemed to want to be on the right. So for nearly 20 years, I've worn a headset with one ear on my right ear, so my brain's very used to that. So right now my brain's kind of going, it's in my left ear, it's in my left ear, it's in my left. You have no idea, right? You really don't. It's unless you're in here, it's very hard to express. But I am slightly frustrated in the fact that you can hear the text to speech in my ear. Now, I did buy, she says, looking for them. I think I yeeted them, actually. I did buy, they were some earphones that everyone allegedly was raving over on the internet. My problem is there isn't enough room on my head for that. It doesn't... behind my ear is kind of, the end of my head, it feels like. And before that is my glasses. So then it would be annoying my glasses, and that's even worse. And... so... hence the one-ear things. The one-ear things work really, really well. But I bought these stupid things. I can't see them. They come in a little thing that makes them a bit like a golf ball. And they were terrible. I might as well have just had the sound coming out the speaker on my desk. There was about as much privacy in what I could hear as me screaming into the microphone. They're supposed to be bone connectivity ones, but no, they're not. They just go in your ear. Well, that's what these were supposed to be. Only, I can tell you now, all they were just earphones that didn't really go in your ear, that just yelled the sound to the world. It was a bit like being in 1980 when you sat next to someone with their Walkman and all you could hear was like... and you're like, dude, I can tell you what you're listening to from here, and I'm like the other side of the room. Do you want to turn it down a bit? So, I might buy another pair of these. These were not expensive. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a real trip down nostalgia. But when in their little kind of ball thing, I took one off and it's kind of like on the back of my table because I'd put it down to do something. And all I could hear was like, I could hear all the words. I could hear almost every note. Well, knowing that the principle works, the problem is like all of them, so many of these things get rave reviews and then a shit. So many of the good ones get a bad review because the only person who commented was some grumpy bum because he'd paid 100 notes for it and decided they were crap even though they're perfectly good and had, you know, false expectations or whatever. See what we've got. Take care. One of the other reasons I quite liked these earphones was the amount of time that they would provide. Because one of the other problems I've seen so many times is you'll see, Bluetooth ear things that go, yes, we provide like 100 hours of playtime, but after 4 hours you'll need to plug them in and charge them, of course. But the case provides the rest. Yeah, but that's no good to me. I need like 5 or 6 hours of actual use time. So... the problem is they provide noise cancellation for me, but they don't necessarily stop you lot from hearing it, which is... and of course no one ever talks about that side of it. I mean, they're a possibility. So let's see what else we've got. I'm going to go on the theory if it's under 20 quid it's a pile of poo. You see, oh, you can have some open earring clip-on things. No, they work like those nasty kind of things I was on about that basically broadcast it to the universe. They just happen to sit next to your ear so you're more likely to hear it. That's not a thing. Thing is, I don't want them to be noise cancelling. What I want is for you lot not to hear them. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm looking at some that are £42. I don't really care what colour they are, to be honest. But none of them mention what it's like for everyone around you, you know? Nightkill, do you even have a coffee thing where you are? It's a real cheap car. These days, finding a car for 40 quid, are you real? Okay. I mean, let's put it this way. The nearest Costa to me is either at work. It is at work. I don't drink coffee, so I can't vouch for Costa's coffee. I can tell you, however, their cups of teas are extortion. I think it's £4 for a cup of tea that wouldn't fit in a mug. Sorry, that wouldn't fill a mug. Let's be more accurate. So. Yeah, the nearest Costa to me is at work. Yeah. Kind of sad, isn't it? Even now, the nearest Costa to me is at where I work. To be honest, Nightkill, I wouldn't say you're missing out, you know? You're really not. It's... they're really only good for coffee, so you got to like coffee really before you go. And, well, it's kind of expensive. I mean, as I understand it, it tastes alright. But, you know, it is only coffee, after all. And, you know, for those who have never heard me talk about my buying lunch at work stories. Well, they're not usually 40 quid, they're about £5, but... where I work, there is a small kind of sandwich shop. It's a bit like a small corner shop, to be honest, because it does have a few other things in it, so it has. But it's basically a snack shop, right? No. No, Trev's got Greg's. I don't get Greg's, right? But the snack shop, when I first joined 20 years ago, the shop was subsidised. And so was all the food and drink on site. Because, as part of the site rules... Well, there is that. But, you know, the coffee and tea and coffee. So, you used to get three cups of stuff out of the vending machine. And you had a little key that you could put money on, so that you didn't have to carry your money around all the time, that you could get more coffees. There was the main building where, you know, all the clients and everybody goes, so they get all the amenities. And they had a shop and a canteen, and you could go and get hot food. But when I tell you that, you know, an entire roast dinner might cost you £1.20, it was a great and glorious thing. Then we got bought. and the free stuff and the key to the vending machine. Well, they changed vending machine suppliers, and now the stuff in the vending machine was more like Chernobyl waste, right? Oh, and by the way, did you hear that Chernobyl's been violated? And yeah, anyway, and the new overlords got in Costa and put in Costa people in the middle of the canteen to dispense coffees and the like at normal Costa prices. The food became normal prices. Now you've got to remember, they've never technically rescinded it, so we, when working on site, are not supposed to leave site during the day at all. Now they do out them now for smoking, so any of this, it would be a better name, because they really aren't cheap. I mean, Starbucks are no better. I mean, they still cost plenty, considering all it is a bit of coffee and a snack kind of thing. But a lot of it is the convenience and the fact that someone else is doing it, not you, right? But the Costa we've got on site do know how to charge. If you think of a normal single burger punnet that you get, little kind of clamshell burger punnet, right? If I tell you that if you go for breakfast, which they only serve on a Friday, please note, you get one strip of bacon per pound. You You see, I'm not a coffee person, so I have to bow to your knowledge on that one. But at the same time, if it's anything like their tea, yeah. I mean, I'm no tea snob. Feeding me Earl Grey tea is a waste. But, how you charge that much for what is nowhere better than a British Rail level copy of a cup of tea. It's charging Harrods prices for Tesco's value. It's but I used to be able to buy my lunch, as a sandwich, packet of crisps, and a chocolate bar or whatever, for not a lot. The moment they changed vendors, if I tell you that, I don't know, in 2020, because obviously I haven't been on site for a while, and I stopped buying lunch from them, so in 2020, I can tell you that 2 slices of bread, with no margarine or butter or mayo for that matter, with just a bit of grated cheese in it, was £2.75. You will understand why I wasn't so keen on buying stuff from them, because that was their cheapest sandwich. Now, their sandwiches went up to £8 or £9. It's a fucking sandwich, dude. I am not buying my future husband here. I am buying a sandwich. I'm going to inhale this sandwich at a rate of knots only known to tornadoes, and in half an hour I won't even remember what flavour it was. So I am not paying £8 or £9 for a frigging sandwich. Hence, I always went in and hunted out the cheapest sandwich, because I'm only eating it. It's not going to be my friend for the day. It's not, it's not my newborn. It's not like I'm buying a new puppy here. I'm buying it to ram in my face to shut my stomach up. I don't really necessarily want to be buying it, let alone, because I was hoping my stomach would shut up and just get on with it. No, so this is the, emergency I need food fund. The answer is to be as cheap as possible. But even then, if I tell you that a packet of crisps, and I mean before they changed the vendor, you could buy like a Mars bar duo and it was cheaper than a Mars bar. Now a Mars bar is more expensive than a duo from Tesco's. We are held hostage. Another good reason to work from home, frankly. It's a lot cheaper on the pocket. I'm hungry, I walk in the kitchen, I eat something, I come back, I'm better now. Well, it is. And, I mean, they're trying to encourage, employees to scrape a bit more work out of them. But, well, to be honest, yeah. But of course, they're not allowed on site to give it to you. Yeah. It gets complicated, and I didn't want to do that. Bollocks. Let's get back. So, I'm so glad I now work from home, because it is so much cheaper for nutrients. Because I can buy loaves of bread, I can have soup in the winter, I can have a sandwich, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can have pretty much what I want when I want. I don't go to the shop and discover, oh, we haven't got any sandwiches left. All of that kind of stuff. Oh, we haven't got any of those. We ran out. There's some more, but I haven't had a chance to put them out yet. Well, which box then? Oh, I can't let you out the boxes. Oh, all of those kind of things. Because I used to get off, well, my usual kind of default, I'm hungry, I need to eat something, was cheese sandwich, packet of crisps, and a bit of flapjack. The flapjack bars, which were about the size of this lid, so they weren't very thick, they weren't very big, £1.50, darling. And so as a result of that, I mean, they're not even like the size of this tub. They were literally the size of this lid, £1.50. I think it's £11 to buy 50 of them from Amazon, right? Might be a bit more than that. Hang on. We go to orders, find the flapjack that I got, because it was the same breed that we had at work. See what the current going rate is. So, a pack of 25 is £23.99. But they were charging you £1.50 each. Nothing like a good markup, is there? Especially as they were buying in bulk. What was that about? Amy obviously feels very moved about the prices of flapjack. What's the matter? Roo. What's the matter? What's the matter, darling? Rory's going, oh God, don't she ever shut up. What's the matter, Amy? Your brother's not caring, so whatever it is it's only you that's upset by it. And he normally reacts to you, and so, what's the matter? Oh no, now he's woken up. Stop destroying my post box! What is wrong with you? What's the matter? What? Roo? Yes. Yes, I know. Oh, dear me. There. Hello. Oh, what a yawn. If you yawned any more bigger than that, you'd have eaten the whole microphone. Yes. What? Amy needs Huggies. Oh. What's the matter? What's the matter? Did the leaf look at you funny? Did one of your dog hairs say you looked fat? Yes. Whatever it was. Yes, I know. But did the leaf look at you funny? It's dark out now. She can definitely hear something, but Rory really doesn't care. It's kind of funny. Dog slob all over your face now. Right. Right, let's put you over there a minute. And actually, we will continue down here. See, you can't hear the dude talking in my ear at the moment. Maybe I just... Oh, fucking sake, dog. Chill. Chill, dude. Chill, Amy. Come on. So you can't hear Darth microtransactions laughing at people's taxes like I can. Just as well. It is quite amusing though. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. I reached for the only thing I could reach at the time, so if you heard weird noises down the mic, that's because I had to put my finger on it. That was a good sneeze. I'm tired now. Does anyone else get that? That you sneeze a couple of times and you feel like you need a snooze now? All that energy was just kind of way too much energy, you know. Well, if only you could do something useful with it. As you say, it's... Really? Okay, let me... Bit Gamey, you're over there. So, he's banging on about taxes and how, obviously, over in America, you've got some states where you do not pay the same taxes, say, the rest of everybody else's taxes. So, there are state taxes and non-state taxes, and it is more complicated for you lot because... well, you're like a bunch of little countries, but a bit like Europe, so you've got like, you know, countries inside an overall thing, right? And now I know that there are some states where taxes are, you don't like pay tax on your earnings, right? But you pay certain taxes, I'm not sure based on what, because I don't need to know, on other things, so you pay like, you know, I know, the equivalent of something to help maintain the roads or whatever, but you don't pay per earning, right? And obviously these are very popular states to live in because no one wants to pay taxes. No one wants to pay more tax than they have to. This is a universally recognised feature. But he was saying he's been told by his chat, which I can't read because obviously that's not up on the screen, but he's been told by his chat very clearly that there are some states and companies that have to publish the earnings of all of their employees so that employees are not underpaid. Really? They have to publish all of their employee earnings so that they can't be seen to be biased against, minorities or whatever it is. Really? That's a thing? Surely that violates 50,000 rules of privacy. Yeah, I mean, it's times like that the UK did have their shit nailed down when we came up with ours. I mean, don't get me wrong. We don't like it, but we pay, for those who are not aware, depending on how much you earn, if you earn less than £12,000 a year, you pay no tax on your earnings. Over 12,000, for all the money you earn over 12,000, you pay... It's 20%. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, occasionally we do have to do taxes. So I'm almost certain that HMRC are going to write to me any day now. Yeah, it is 20. Yeah, I thought it was 20. If you breach, I think it's £54,000 a year income. It's not just self-employed. There are other reasons why you may have to. So, for example, I fall into this category now potentially for 2 reasons, which is why I'm expecting a letter through the door. It's not about earning enough, it's where the money comes from. So, I have found out, to my detriment, that the money that I have left over from my father's estate that has been sitting in my bank account all these years, so it's 6 years now, 5 years, whatever. If the interest rates on savings are high enough and you manage to earn over £1,000 in interest on your savings, you have to pay tax on the interest on your savings. So even though you paid tax to get it, so when my dad died, I had to pay 40% of everything because obviously it was over 54 grand. So I had to pay 40% of basically nearly everything, which costs a lot of money. And not content with that, I then put it in my bank, and I have to pay taxes on the interest on my taxed already amount of money. If I take it out and spend it, it will be taxed again, because everything we buy pretty much is taxed at 20% when you buy it. Now, there are a few concessions to that, but to be honest, they don't really tell you which ones are which, but there are a few concessions to that. I think books are one of them, right? As an example. And it was the only argument I ever truly had with my father that we never settled. Because my dad, despite being an accountant, by the way, he claimed you are only ever taxed on money once. So, let me explain petrol to me then, Dad. If I earn money and I pay 20% to the government for the privilege of earning my money, I then buy petrol, which is, on average, the actual price of petrol is about 4% of the amount you actually pay for it. How is that not double taxed? But then of course... Well, this was my argument, and it got real dirty. It was a real... Because I wasn't very old when I was making this conversation, right? So my father, needless to say, of course, stupid child. No, I could see the problem. That's the difference. I could already see the problem. And that's not what I wanted to do. So yeah, it was a big argument. I seem to recall being sent to my room for many hours and being denied food for that. Because how dare I speak to my father and how wrong I was and how adamant I was right. Because I freaking was! My friend Petey, it's his birthday today, my friend Petey and I once had a similar conversation because he knew my dad quite well, and he was working out that if you wanted to buy an act... Take care. But basically, my dad being my dad, Petey and I were trying to work out how much money you need to earn to actually buy a physical pound worth of petrol. So, if let's say 4% of the actual price of petrol is not taxes and stuff, how much is a physical actual pound of petrol going to cost you? And then how much... Because obviously it's, well, that's easy. It's about 40 quid. And then, kind of deal. It's about 40 quid. And then, of course, you've got to pay taxes. You've got to add the taxes onto that. So, and then you've got to add your kind of wage tax back and your national insurance and all this other tripe to find out how much money how much work you had to do at X pounds an hour kind of thing to earn that £1 worth of petrol, right? And it's not good news, people. Let's just leave it at that. It is not good news. But this was the argument with my dad, is he could not see that you are taxed. I mean, so for example, part of the reason I do not sell my old house, and quite a few people seem to get really, really put out that I did not sell my old house when I moved here. Well, think about it. Here is the problem. If I sell my old house now, counts as income. Therefore, let's say my old house is worth 200k. I now have to pay 40% of that to the government. Now, the reason you don't pay 40k to the government when you move house, you pay stamp duty, but you don't pay 40% of the price difference, to the government, is because you're immediately spending it. And you, most of the time, don't even receive the money. The money comes in from, estate agent 1, gets sent out to estate agent 2, and, it's all their end. You don't necessarily walk into an estate agent and sob a bag of money on the counter and go, I'm buying that house. Well, you always did, but you also, if you don't, stamp duty on a second house is a lot. Because it's, your second house. I know that. I had to pay that. But you are... While it is in brick format, it's actually in its cheapest format for you to keep it. Because it's potentially going up in price far better than any interest rate. You're not paying interest on it. Now, obviously, you've got to pay council tax and you've got to have, upkeep on it and all this kind of shit. But it's kind of controllable, right? There is some element of control that you have over how much it costs you. Whereas, of course, you don't get to control the interest rate on savings. You don't get to control the interest rate on house prices either, so it could crash. But at the same time, it's highly unlikely to go back down below the price I ever paid for it. So technically I win, in the long run. But it is one of those deals is that until this year, the tax on the interest on my savings, interest rates on savings here in the UK have been, basically, oh, you've got a load of savings, here's a penny, enjoy, for quite a few years now. Even though I wouldn't call them extortionately healthy now, they did breach enough so that my sum of money incurred me interest. And as I say, it's not exactly, a livable wage or anything, so don't get too excited. But I got a letter just round about Christmas, in fact I think it was printed on Christmas Day, stating that I owed the taxman money. And I phoned him up with like, what the heck, dude, right? Because it's not like it was new money, I'd had it for a while. And the nice man that I spoke to explained it very carefully that it used to be that the banks paid the tax on it. So, hence you get like the AER and something else. One is one rate, one is basically the rate without tax. But they always give you the non-taxed one. And of course they report it to the Inland Revenue. Now, I'm not surprised by that, but I am surprised that you have to pay taxes on the interest, because after all, it's your money. If I've got a Fabergé egg sitting in my basement in a safe and it's rapidly going up in value, well, I don't pay interest on it. It's an egg, right? So hence in brick format, it's not charging me interest, and I can tell you now, the interest I would get on the amount for my old house, which is no Buckingham Palace for sure, would be significant. I mean, it's not a livable wage really, but it is significant. Therefore, the interest of the tax that I would pay to it is also fairly significant. And it becomes... But, I got to the age of 52 before I ever suffered from this. But so no one ever mentioned it. Because most people are not aware that you pay taxes on the interest on your savings. Only if it goes above a certain amount. Now, this certain amount hasn't changed in decades. So it's, it's £1,000, which £1,000 in interest arguably sounds like a lot. But £1,000 income, if you think of it that way, that's not a lot. But the second reason I've got that joy because, well, technically now I've got a second income, even though I don't. It's only interest on money I've had for a while. It's not an income because I'm not earning new money. It's just interest on my money. I don't see that as an income, and I'm sure most of you won't either. Then you've got the fact that when I left when I got changed employer at the beginning of December, I obviously had new employer, and new employer paid me in December. Thank you, new employer. Admittedly, they forgot the first time round, and that was a little bit upsetting. But, eventually they did pay me. That was good. But then my old employer had to pay me for the on-call I'd done the previous month. So I got payment from employer 1 and employer 2 almost on the same day. Rock forward a bit. We were supposed to be receiving our last year's bonus this month. Only they paid something. I'm not going to say half of it. Well, it's kind of half of it last month. But now they're not sure whether they owe us the rest. Yeah, you do. But they haven't managed to sort it in a month. So, of course, last month, I got yet another payment from old employer. So, again, that is 2 incomes. So I do foresee a tax return in my future. Because, well, now I've got to, I'll have to fess up that, my old employer had to pay me up for shit that I'd done last year. but they don't pay out till April. Only they decided to pay it early, and then hopefully there'll be the actual rest of our money because, well, they welched on half of it, and so there'll be another payment, and that'll be in this tax year, so that will screw up this year, and it's gonna be a nightmare. So it's not about how much, it's about where. So, you know, you could earn, I mean, obviously, let's say you earn you earn 12 grand a year, so you're currently not paying taxes. If you had my dad's leftovers in your bank account, you would be paying tax on that. And because you've breached the limit. It's just stupid. And the bit, I really disagree with inheritance tax. Especially for normal people. I mean, if you watch all the films, everything in films is, you know, they gather round a fire and a lawyer stands there, reads the will, and he goes, "To my darling goddaughter, I bequeath my estate." And that's it. They don't mention, you know, oh, you've now got to sell it so that you can afford the taxes on it, which is how it kind of works out usually. Because, you know, Gotherington Manor, you know, price, you know, 5 mil, whatever, has just been handed over in Lord Farquhar's, you know, well, then you've got 40% of that's got to go to the government, love. You've got a couple of million in your pocket that you can sort that out with. Yeah, I'm pretty sure but what annoyed me, I think, with my dad the most was that, you know, as I say, my dad and I had argued over, you know, amount of, you know, how many times you paid tax on money. Because, of course, all the money that he had, all the things that he bought, he had done it all above board. I can tell you that now. And so they got their tax on that. It's not like there was no taxes on it. He paid taxes and stamp duty and you know, all of those kind of things. And if you have a mortgage, it's not like you get money back from the government because you're having to pay out, you know, like, you know, you don't get to use all of your salary because it's going on a mortgage so you can live. You don't get to claim that back. I don't know. I just find it very difficult because, you know, when my dad died, I had to pay quite a lot in taxes. And my only reaction was, well, I don't remember them helping me. When did they do something to help me when my dad died? You know, I don't remember me driving, you know, between London and home. I don't remember them looking after the dogs. I don't remember them when my suspension died. You know. But yeah, but back to what you said, Bit Gamey, about how you pay 8.25% on shelf prices. At least in England, we have the good grace to publish the paying price. Whether or not it's got taxes in is absolutely irrelevant. If it says £10 on the shelf, you walk up to the counter, you slap down a £10 note, the item's yours. There is no, oh, well, there's tips and extras and taxes, and we don't do that kind of horseshit. Tipping is absolutely not essential here. I mean, it's good manners in many places, but it's not essential. It's not, whereas over there, it's compulsory. Well, it's not really a tip, is it? It's not exactly a reward for good service when it's mandatory, you know? It's a bit like saying conscription was voluntary, you know? It doesn't kind of work, you know? Well, you could get out of it, yes, but you had to be ill or... So yeah, I expect a film to fill in from the taxman, and then for about the next 10 years, because once the taxman's written to you, they don't like to believe you for a while. That reminds me. What the hell are you? Sorry about that. Just removing some weird flying thing. This ring light does attract weird flying things. So if there's a weird flying thing within like 50 miles, they do seem to be attracted to this light. And I mean, we had that little caterpillar thing. I mean, it's hardly known to be Speedy Gonzales, but it came 2 days in a row. We've had a little weirdy beetly thing that showed up. We've had quite a few moths, but it was kind of a fly, but it wasn't a fly. It was more hairy and longer and weird. And I don't know what it is, but it's outside now, so where it should have been in the first place. For I have no problems with creeper crawlies when they're outside. It's when they're inside that I'm less keen on them. For this is my house. They're not paying rent, so, you know. See, considering that when we did our strip, we had definitely loaded all of our bobbins before we did this much. We didn't have as much lace, but we'd loaded all our bobbins. But even the loading of bobbins didn't seem to take as long as it does when doing these. And I don't quite understand why squares seem so much slower than strips, but they are. They just clearly are. See, that doesn't look right. Because you should be more like that. You're too long. But you are not the partner. You're the partner of that. So something is not right here. Let's take you out. So something went wrong before this. Okay. You're a pair. You're good. Right. It's better. See, I look at how long I've been on stream. I've been on stream nearly 2 hours. Okay, we messed around with my ear thing for a few minutes, but it wasn't that long. But in basically an hour and a half, for want of a better round down, all I've done was that little tiny strip of cloth stitch and a handful of rows of ground. Yet when it came to the strip, we'd have done far more than that. Why is that a thing? You know, just. One, two, three, four, five. This bobbin just tried to make a run for it, so I don't know why, because it's got a knot on it, but there we go. What time is it? It is 10:30. Stupid clock. Let's take that out because that's a thing. Now, I'm going to say, very disappointingly, that I'm going to call it a day. She says, looking for stick. I should have a lot more sticks than that. They're around somewhere. Just because it's late, I've got to upload this, and I've got to be up early tomorrow because it's Friday, so I don't want to work too late today. So I do apologise for those of you who are watching. I have no idea how many of you are, because according to ABS, there's one of you, so... but I've got a feeling there's more than one of you, but there we go. So, I'm going to sadly call this a day for today. I will be back 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, which is in 20 hours' time. No. Yes. No. No. It's not 20. Hang on. 16. 16 hours' time. So, 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 16 hours' time. So, which is my normal scheduled Friday. There is a... They used to be called Evercraft. They're now called Illudian play test going on at the weekend. But I will try and do my normal late night Saturday stream for this. Just because I do feel kind of slightly compelled to get on with it. But, so with that in mind, thank you for your attention today. Thank you for your assistance with the sound, people. I have ordered... Did I actually click buy after all that? Did I actually click buy, or did I look at it again and no, I didn't actually click buy. So, click buy on that. That should arrive tomorrow. Probably won't arrive in time for the stream, but, you know. There you go, it arrives tomorrow. We shall see what happens with those, because I've obviously, in cleaning them out so I could hear clearly in the ear that got muffled, broken them, or broken the one that I like, or damaged it, it's more accurate, because it still works, but obviously it's emitting more sound than it should do. I don't see why. I didn't exactly do a lot interesting to it. All I did was clear some muck out of the holes, so... but clearly it didn't like it, is the short answer to that. So, anyway, I shall be back tomorrow at my usual time. I shall be back on Saturday at my usual, at a later time, usually somewhere around this time of night-ish kind of thing. So, 48 hours from now, I'll probably be kicking off. Although I am struggling with the late night thing, so I might start it slightly earlier and finish slightly earlier. Because the first time I did it, loads of you came. And I mean loads, in comparison, loads of you came. Ever since then, not so much. And, you know, staying up till 2... But what usually happens is just as I'm about to give up at 2 or 3 in the morning, people start showing up. And then I feel bad because, well, I've been, you know, I'm sitting there yawning and I'm tired and I want to go to bed because, I've been up a long time by then. And now you're all showing up. So you make me conflicted, people. However... It is the way it goes, that's fine. But I will be here tomorrow afternoon, my time. And then again, late night the day after. And then my usual random kind of British waking hours for the days after that. So, it's bank holiday on Monday, so there's no excuse for no streaming on Monday. I need to clean the back of my phone because I've stuck my big grubby paw prints on it. Just take the photo so it actually doesn't look too crappy. There we go. Take care, everybody. I hope the rest of your day goes well. Good luck, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.